When it comes to hybrid type games, I usually like it when developers try to blend two different genres together. In some cases, it allows the player to experience the best parts of both genres in a unique and new experience. It allows for an interesting creative space for something to appear that we never really thought of before. Some hybrids have great concepts but stumble in their executions, or you can have instances where that may result in a flawed but still fun experience. Either way, this hybrid creative space allows for some interesting games to be born from. When I first saw Sakuna, I had no background information on it and I had no idea what I was in for. And for the first few hours, I honestly couldn't figure the game out. The initial gameplay is presented as a side-scrolling action RPG of sorts. You can pull off different light and heavy attacks combined with a grappling hook. The grappling hook can be used for some of the platforming as well. Then the game transitioned into introducing its farming elements. It took me a bit to really start understanding the progression and how things worked within the game. I was enjoying the lighter tone to the story and the general action was pretty good. After a few hours, the game started to click with me and I just wanted to dive deeper into it. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my review for Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. Sakuna's gameplay is divided into two parts. The gameplay loop is a combination of side-scrolling action and a farming simulator of sorts. Let's start out with the action side of things. You have a light and heavy attack that you can chain together for different combos. You also have access to different skills that you can use. This will use up your skill meter and it will recharge over time. You do not have access to a dodge roll of any kind, but you do have a means for defense. You have access to a piece of equipment that acts like a grappling hook of sorts. You can attach on to enemies and swing around them, along with different objects in the environment. You can use this to get a better position while in fights, along with useful attacks as well. For the most part, the action is enjoyable, quick, and very fun. While in the side-scrolling sections, there will be some platforming, and this is fun through the use of the grappling hook. One aspect that I really enjoyed about the combat is how you can use different moves to knock or slam one enemy into many others to do a lot of damage. In many cases, this would allow you to damage many foes at a safe distance or even open up other resources. This is really useful in many of the boss fights since the bosses are really strong and they usually have weaker minions with them. Along with this, the side-scrolling sections are the way that you will be able to collect supplies from different materials in the environment or from defeated enemies. All of this stuff will contribute to the meals that you can cook, providing you with bonuses, along with more options for creating better weapons and equipment, along with producing better fertilizer for the farming section of the game. As you use different skills, they will grow in level and power. The game encourages you to find the skills that fit your playstyle and then work to leveling them up. Equipment may have different buffs that can be unlocked through completing side objectives of sorts. Collect so much of an item or kill a certain amount of a specific enemy. Once you achieve this, your equipment will provide you with another buff. Another thing to note is that defeated enemies will provide you with amber. This factors into the farming area of the game, along with being a way to upgrade gems that provide you with different passive buffs that you can socket into your equipment. As I go through the farming section of the game, you will see how the side-scrolling side of things and the farming section interconnects to create an addictive and rewarding gameplay loop. Essentially, you are rewarded for everything you do, and this makes the game very hard to put down. When it comes to the farming part of the game, this area is oddly relaxing and acts as a nice balance to the action-oriented parts of the game. Many of the aspects of the farming will have you doing repetitive tasks that further your rice farm. You participate in each of the steps leading all the way up to the harvest. You will need to start to get the soil ready for planting your seeds. This involves holding down a button, letting go, and then continually doing this around your farm. You are going to notice that a lot of the farming actions are repetitive actions, but this stuff was oddly never annoying to me. I actually found these these types of things to be refreshingly relaxing. Following this, you'll need to make your fertilizer. This is where you can blend your own with many of the different types of materials that you collect through the side-scrolling sections. Here you can choose how you want your crop to be. You choose what areas you want to focus on, and many of these relate to your stats like vitality, luck, health, and others. This allows for some experimentation to come up with your own mixes and forms of expression for your crop. Following this, you will need to then plant the seeds. Again, this is another tedious action of having you plant each individual seed in your farm. After this, you need to check in on your crops each day to either make sure that it's clear of invasive plants and wildlife and that the water level is just right. It takes a while, but once the crops are ready, you can conduct the harvest. This is the most exciting aspect of the farming, as a successful harvest results in you improving your stats and essentially leveling up. You get to choose what type of rice that you want to make, which affects what bonuses you get from food that you prepare with rice in it. Then you get ready for the next farming season. The game has you go through the different seasons, so you cannot continually farm throughout the year. There's a period of time where you cannot do anything to get ready for the next farming season or farm anything. So you need to use your supplies that you gain from the harvest wisely. Like I said, the actual farming aspect of the game has you doing a lot of repetitive actions, but oddly enough, it allows you to complete each aspect of the farming process, which is very satisfying to do. I really like how you have an input on what you can put into your fertilizer, which results in the different bonuses that you will receive from farming. Along with this, you are rewarded with improvements and level ups when it comes time for the harvest. Another neat aspect of the farming is how you will gain skills in each sections of the farming process as you continually do them. All of these farming skills result in improving your efficiency in that particular area. You always end up being rewarded for your actions, which ends up helping you in other areas. The more efficient you are with farming, the more efficient you can be during each of the game's days. This may sound a lot like busy work, but the built-in rewards and input from deciding how you want to plant and deciding each part of the process makes for an addictive, relaxing, and satisfying farming experience. While the side-scrolling action and farming take up the bulk of the gameplay, there are other aspects about the game. Cooking is a big part about the experience. During the side-scrolling sections, you will obtain different supplies and meat from defeated enemies. It is important to note that many of your supplies will quickly spoil, so you either need to use them that day or process them so they do not spoil on you. Cooking is an engaging aspect about the game as it allows for more player expression. Depending on the supplies that you have, you will be able to cook different dishes that will provide you with different improvements to your stats along with passive buffs. Some of the dishes will increase your damage and how much health you have, while others will provide you with passive healing when you're not in combat. These dishes will only last for the day, so you need to really plan accordingly. So if you are going up against a boss fight, you may want to focus on improving your attack and health, or go a different route depending on your playstyle. Cooking and eating also relates to your fullness meter. As you are doing stuff throughout the day, your fullness meter will slowly drain. Once you have drained your meter, then you will lose all of the passive buffs and stat bonuses that you got from the prior meal. Some foods will even increase your fullness meter so that you can hold on to your bonuses for longer. Then you have the blacksmithing, where you can use the supplies that you have collected to make better weapons and equipment. The game has a lot of different survival elements, and in each of the cases, the game does a great job at continually rewarding the player for their time. Using your skills in combat causes them to level up and be more powerful. Defeating enemies and collecting supplies provides you with ingredients for your fertilizer, more options for cooking, and materials for making better equipment. The farming results in providing you with more cooking options along with permanent improvements to your stats. The loop of side-scrolling action results in gaining supplies and then turning those supplies into different improvements for your character, and farming is where the addiction comes into play. Once you finish one harvest, you will want to go back out there and do another. In one day, you may want to focus on gaining more amber, where with another day, you may want to focus on a boss fight or collecting supplies or even farming. There's many different things to do, and they all feed into bettering your character. Once the game hooks you, you will not want to stop playing. Something that I do like is how the farming mechanics and the side-scrolling sections are interconnected. You need to use supplies for your farming to improve your fertilizer. You get that through exploring the side-scrolling levels. Farming results in providing you with your improvement to your base stats, along with rice to provide you with better food for more buffs after each meal, which in turn allows you a better chance to succeed in the side-scrolling areas. These are two distinct modes of play that have its systems married to each other that makes this feel like one unified experience. When it comes to the action side of things, I got what what I expected from it. Solid gameplay with good boss fights. The farming side of things surprised me as I did not have any experience in this area, and it was both addictive and relaxing. The levels themselves provide you with some decent exploration as you encounter new enemies and find better supplies. Each of the levels have challenges to complete, and this will increase your exploration level, opening up new areas for you to get resources from and explore. This game really goes out of its way to really reward you for every minute that you put into it. And on top of all of this, the story is really good as well. The setup to the story takes a familiar approach by having a character who is a spoiled brat and then have her go through an adventure where she learns humility and to care for others. What helps to give this game some of its own identity is the charm that is infused into each of the moments with delightful characters and humor. The story and characters provide just the right amount of expected cheese, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the moments of seeing a group of characters come together and work towards a common goal. The adventure is enjoyable and the conclusion is satisfying. When it comes to the flaws, I do not have many with this game. My only real issue is with the minor input delay with the side-scrolling action. If you are in the middle of a combo, there isn't really a way to cancel that combo so you can attempt to dodge an attack or do something else to avoid damage. It feels like the action could just be a half step better. Other than this, Sakuna turned out to be an unexpected surprise with so much to offer. The game has a gorgeous art style that helps to bring each of the 4 seasons to life along with all the levels that you visit. The music is another strong area of the game, and here are a few tracks from the game. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin is an awesome and underrated experience. The story is charming with a solid narrative and good characters. The side-scrolling action and farming mechanics are 2 distinct forms of play that are married together through the use of the many different progression systems within the game. To farm, you need to do the side-scrolling sections to collect supplies. To level up and do harder levels, you need to produce crops, which allows you to level up your stats. This is a great game that has an addictive gameplay loop, providing solid action and relaxing and rewarding farming mechanics. Sakuna rewards the player for every minute that they put into it, and there's no fluff here. Just different options to figure out how best to use your time within the game. One day you may want to focus on farming, while another you'll want to focus on gathering supplies or fighting enemies at night to gain more amber or something else. All of this is topped off with a great presentation with a beautiful art style and a captivating soundtrack. I highly recommend you give this game a shot, and thank you very much for watching.